Okay, everybody, let's start our agenda today. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Miss Betari, for giving me this opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Your Excellency, the Dean of the Faculty of Usuluddin Literature and Humanities of UIN Salatiga, Dr. Supardi MA, a professor soon to be, and the respectable,
Insyaallah.
I mean, the respectable the vice deans, lecturers, invited guests, students, and all participants who attended today's international guest lecture, right? And also, we have a special guest today, Miss Jasmine Smith. Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Thank you so
Okay.
much for having me. Thank
Thank
you.
you for joining us. She holds an MA in Religious Studies from Hartford International University of Religion and Peace of USA, right? Thank you so much for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody, please allow me, Rani, to lead the seminar today for approximately an hour, maybe. So, let's start our agenda today by reciting Basmalah together. Next agenda
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
is the next agenda is opening speech from the Dean of the Faculty of Usuluddin Literature and Humanities of UIN Salatiga to Dr. Supardi MA. Time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Rani, for the time. Good afternoon, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's nice to meet you all today. And we have a guest lecture. Uh, it is our pleasure to have a guest lecture, and then as we program it, that it will be at least one semester, one guest lecture, or if it is possible, 1 month, one guest lecture. And today we have Bone Martinat as our guest lecturer that will present about uh, converting to Islam around this topic. And it is actually very important topic for us to discuss about how people convert to Islam, and then it will also add our knowledge, and at the same time improve our language skill. So we welcome you, Bonnie, on this moment, and we will have a nice seminar or nice conversations and a nice lecture from you. So have a nice lecture for everyone. Have a nice discussion this afternoon, and we improve also our language. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Supardi. Now we begin to the main agenda. It is a guest lecture with the theme Integration and Challenges Faced by Australian-born Converts to Islam by Ms. Bone Martinot. Before we move further, I will read aloud the curriculum vitae briefly of our wonderful speaker. Petari, can you help me to share the curriculum vitae? Or maybe I'll read it for all of you, okay? So, this is this beautiful lady is Bone Martinat. She is an experienced educator with a naturally positive personality, we know that. And she has a passion about English language teaching, language learning, and also Islamic studies. Now, she works in Victorian Tertiary Admission Center as an assessment officer from 2021 until now. And she graduates from Charles Sturt University, Masters of Islamic Studies in 2020, and Bachelor of Applied Language and Intercultural Communications from University of South Australia 2014, and graduated cert teaching English as second language from Flinders University in 2015, and has the diploma of language, especially for Arabic language from Deakin University in 2015. Wow, how great she is. I'm sure that today's seminar will be engaging. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the speaker will deliver her material for approximately 30 minutes, maybe. Then a question and answer session will be opened. Those who want to ask directly can click the raise hand symbol after the Q&A session opens. And those who want to ask through the chat column are also welcome. But actually, the moderator doesn't function as a translator. So you can use the translator application like maybe Google Translate to help. So I'm sorry and thank you in advance. Well, talking about the theme, as I know, some say that integration in Australia should be measured by a person's social harmony and contribution to society, rather than just maybe about speaking English or wearing Western clothing. And others say that Muslims play an important role in making Australia a multicultural and multi-faith society. There will be data provided by our speaker on the challenges faced by Australian born converts to Islam. However, we also eager to know the challenges that Muslims in Australia face, maybe such as social stigma or judgment or negativity or maybe discrimination. Well, to save time, let's go straight to our guest speaker, to Miss Bone Martina. Time is yours.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. Thank you so much for having me
Waalaikumsalam.
today. Allow me to share my screen with you. Can you see it all clearly? Yes? Can you hear me clearly as well?
Clear, clear.
Yes,
Clear.
very
Okay.
clear.
One moment. Let me just allow this. Okay. So let us begin. This presentation is the findings of my investigation from my master's research into the experience of Australian born converts to Islam. I conducted this research in 2020 and it explores the changes that a convert undertakes during their post conversion journey, the challenges that they experience when they integrate as Muslims into their respected community. So, firstly, I will introduce you to my study and I will explain to you the gaps in my knowledge in the knowledge that was available around conversion. After this, I will explain my conceptual framework and methodology. And then finally, I will present to you my results and conclusion. I know we have time for a discussion afterwards, but if any time in my presentation I talk too fast, or you may want me to explain a concept or a detail or vocabulary to help your understanding, please let us know. So, shall we begin?
Yes.
Okay, let's begin.
Let's begin. So, to begin with, why I started this research, it all came from my own curiosity to have a better understanding of what is life. And I wanted to do something meaningful when I was wondering about what is the reason that we do what we do. especially during conversion to Islam. So the idea I thought was I should make this into a research. And I started to read academic research into conversion and literature onto conversion and converts to Islam, which is mostly globally based in the UK and Europe, and not so much in Australia. So after I did a research from 1990 all the way to 2020, I found 6 points. And these 6 points shaped the development of my research. These 6 points are: firstly, regardless how a researcher approaches the topic, converts experience the same themes. They have a commonality in their experiences. Secondly, although there are commonalities, there is difference between country to country. Thirdly, I found that conversion is not an impulse decision. People take their time and they think about conversion. They think about the challenges and the things that they face before they take their Shahada. Fourth, converts to Islam don't entirely become a whole new identity. They don't replace their existing identity with the Islamic one. They develop a new one, combining their Islamic faith. Fifth, in the research, many converts report that they feel denied meaningful roles within Muslim communities, and they feel like sometimes they are expected to assimilate to the Muslim community culture, and this is difficult for them. And six, converts to Islam are in a vulnerable position and are exposed to a form of Islamophobia that is sometimes a bit different because they have interactions with non Muslims in their home life. So when I looked at all of the academic and the literature, and I've developed these 6 points, it was evident that there was a reason for me to research and get data from an Australian perspective and ask Australians what's their experience. So, furthermore, it was also important that the research attempted to address the gaps in knowledge. And there were 3 points that were very noticeable in the gaps of knowledge in literature. Firstly, there is an interplay between Islam influencing converts' identity and converts influencing the way Islam is understood in the West. There was a very good reason to investigate Australian born converts as a whole and to see if converts feel challenged by their identities as Australian and as a Muslim. Secondly, no study in all of the literature I read investigated how converts integrate within their Muslim community. Many studies talk about the challenges associated with being Muslim, but no study traces successful integration of converts to Muslim communities while they maintain their existing identity. And finally, there is a very famous, well-known researcher in the field of conversion to Islam, and his name is Ali Khosei. And since his study in 1996, no study investigates the unique conversion process to Islam. It is important to test the hypothesis of double conversion. That is, the hypothesis that somebody will take their Shahada and throughout their experience after taking their Shahada, they will fully commit to an Islamic way of life. Thus, the research formed an approach to obtain data that gave a meaningful contribution to the field of studies and addressed the gaps in knowledge. So, to the conceptual framework. It was anticipated that the research could not be used in one reference to theory only. And that is because there is no specific conversion theory suitable in an Islamic context. However, conceptual framework was developed to identify connections in existing literature, as well as investigate integration and challenges in an Australian context. The research developed a hypothesis that a convert must apply changes to their life and overcome challenges that arrive from them, and these were categorized into three aspects. Firstly, we have our personal aspect. This is when a person has to involve internalizing their beliefs, their values, and their world view of Islam coming from a Western education and non-Muslim background. Their second aspect is lifestyle aspect. This involves implementing and getting used to the practices of Islam, such as praying and fasting. And then thirdly, the social aspect. This involves socializing as a Muslim, now within their family, within their friends, within their work, and within their new Muslim community. The hypothesis is that converts to Islam experience a degree of challenges in all of these aspects. But successful integration as a Muslim includes overcoming these challenges in all three. So, with my methodology, I collected data through an online survey. If you know SurveyMonkey, this is what I used. I specifically designed SurveyMonkey that was made for the hypothesis and based in line with the key points that I mentioned. For the participants to take part, they had to be above 18 years old and they had to have taken their Shahada for more than 2 years. And finally, they had to be born in Australia. The way that I contacted participants was through many methods. I contacted mosques to circulate my survey, Islamic organizations, and educational institutions. I also contacted Muslim friends and acquaintances, and for the most part, I actually didn't talk to anyone. It went out and people replied to me. In total, I had 74 responses that could be included in my research. However, there is some shortcomings in my research. Unfortunately, uh, there are many Australians that I found were not born in Australia that converted to Islam. Maybe they were born in the UK, they were born in America, and they were living in Australia. And because of that simple reason, they were not able to participate. So let's have a look at the results now. We will look at the demographics of participants, and this is really my favorite to see the background of people. Um, you can see that I had both male and female participants, and it was a little bit more females than men. Sorry, females participating than men. Some people were aged from 22, and most people were aged over 40. And in addition, many of the converts that participated, it was more than 10 years that they had taken their Shahada. So they had been living as a Muslim for a very long time. And because my research was not set in a city or one place, I made my research Australia-wide. And you can see that there is converts everywhere in Australia. We have in the north of the country and in the south of the country. Even if it's a small amount, they are there. And not only that, there is some converts in small towns, in very rural areas. While the majority is in the city, you can see that people embrace Islam in all places. So I also ask people about their backgrounds, their ancestry, and also their religious affiliation before they embraced Islam. The overwhelming majority of participants was from European descent, but you can see, however, converts are from a diverse background. We have Eastern European, Aboriginal, um, Middle Eastern as well, South American. In addition to that, they come from diverse religious backgrounds before Islam. Um, I also allowed them to give some example response so they could give more information about their religious beliefs before converting. Um, so we can see that again, just like in the demographics of where people are located, people from all walks of life can embrace Islam, and they do embrace Islam. I also asked the participants about the time when they converted to Islam, if they were single or married. There was no further collection to ask if they were in a relationship with a Muslim significant other, but but some people indicated that because of their shahada and conversion, it resulted in them being in interfaith relationships. In addition to that, I asked participants about their family's religious practices, and a majority of them selected that their family is non-Muslim. The least selected response was that their family also converted to Islam. So that we can see here that people, when they convert to Islam, their family sometimes or most of the time does not convert. Participants were asked to describe their conversion journey from 3 selections. It was found that the majority would describe their journey as being fully committed since they took their shahada. A small amount selected that they were still not committed. If we look at the selection, sometime after my initial conversion, I fully committed to being a Muslim. It was 21.6% of participants. And this confirms the hypothesis of double conversion. That is, sometimes after taking Shahada, people commit to an Islamic way of life after some struggle. Interestingly, participants were asked about before converting to Islam if they had tried some Islamic practices. Had they
Okay.
prayed or fast? And if you can see, it is almost 50-50 split. 50% of participants said they didn't try any practices, and the other 50 participants said that they had tried praying and fasting and different practices. So I found that to be very interesting how close the data was there. Participants was asked about how they described their acceptance into their respective Muslim community from 5 options. The majority responded with, I feel accepted as a Muslim while maintaining my Australian identity. Following this, they said, I feel accepted as a Muslim, but I am also required to adapt to another cultural identity. But this is a big difference. 58.1% said that they feel accepted as a Muslim in their community while being Australian. This suggests in the majority of cases there is no overriding pressure to adopt to another culture. So, if you remember, I talked about my hypothesis, which is the personal aspect. And the first dimension of the hypothesis was to look at the personal aspect, where an individual takes on board their new identity as a Muslim on an internal level. The following are the results from my surveys, which you can see the breakdown of participants' responses. I asked them if their previous identity clashed with their new Muslim identity, or if it was difficult to internalize Islamic worldviews and values coming from a Western background. You can see that it is almost split between them. In addition to that, it is evident that conversion reshapes someone's awareness of themselves in Australian society, especially in terms of prejudice and privileges. Unlike their global counterparts, participants indicated that their conversion did not make them feel as if they no longer belonged to Australia, but they did encounter some difficult attitudes. So it is very clear that post conversion, they become more aware of different prejudices in society. There was some overall agreements with the responses. Firstly, that converts are faced with navigating multiple interpretations of Islam. Sometimes they are bombarded with which way is the right way. And at the same time, it is important for them to feel that they can implement Islam at their own pace. But also, most importantly, most of the respondents said that they feel an overwhelming benefit of peace and purpose in their life after their Shahada. And that's a really beautiful thing. So, at the end of each section, I asked them if they felt the challenges of internal changes were ongoing. The majority of them responded with some of them. A very small amount of participants responded that these challenges are not ongoing. The second dimension was to look at the lifestyle aspect where the individual begins to implement Islamic practices into their lives. These responses indicate that converts should implement stages. While a third of participants reported it was challenging, most of them are confronted with navigating what is Islamic and what is their own Australian practices and behaviors and how that is acceptable in Islam. Results indicated that converts are exposed to cultural practices that are said to be Islamic, but are not necessarily specified within Islam. However, you can see a sharp drop in agreement that participants felt that they had to adhere to other cultural practices. In addition to this, just over half of participants reported that they felt supported by other Muslims or a Muslim friend or a family member, and overall, the responses indicate that one implements Islamic practices, it helps their integration into their Muslim community. Participants were asked to indicate the level of change in their various lifestyle, and it is clear from the majority that their lifestyle has to go under some change. The only instance was alcohol, where the response was very significant, if you can see, because this was a huge part of Australian society is to drink alcohol and around alcohol. But other than that, participants responded that it just undergoes some change. When changing lifestyle practices and is implementing Islamic ones, converts have to engage with their non-Muslim families and somehow bring Islamic practices into a non-Muslim family structure. I asked participants about this, and it is evident that there is a certain level of negotiation and compromise that happens between a convert and their non Muslim families. While participants responded overall that families were not the biggest challenge for implementing practices, it is concerning that 28.4% of participants indicate that their family actively undermines their Islamic practices, which is to say that their family members don't acknowledge their Islamic practices or they make things difficult for the participants. Again, I asked participants if they felt that the challenges were ongoing. And of course, the majority response is some of the challenges with their lifestyle practices is ongoing. Now, participants were asked if they adopted displaying their religious identity through a means of dress or appearance based on their gender. In line with the requirements of Islam, females were asked about their questions of hijab. Males, on the other hand, were asked if they adopted a beard as part of their Muslim identity. We know that we can choose a beard as a counterpart to hijab, as it is sunnah rather than a cultural adaptation. But I had to be clear with participants. They had to agree that it was part of their intention to have a beard because it doesn't necessarily deviate from the regular public norm of dress code. More than half of participants, for both female and male, indicate that they observe the beard and hijab. Participants were asked to select the challenges they faced when adopting this, and for those who do not observe, sometimes or used to, were asked to select reasons why they do not or no longer wear hijab or have a beard. You can see in the graphs those who observe their response in purple and those who don't are in the darker blue above. For women, there is a significant difference between family issues for those who wear hijab and those who don't. But it appears for those who don't observe a hijab, drawing unwanted attention is a huge concern for them. For males who observe the beard, they have equal family and workplace concerns. But for those who don't wear it, their reasonings are less diverse than the female participants who don't wear hijab. Again, I asked some more questions to participants. For those who observe, they can select no issues. As you can see by the zero response of female participants, it indicates that every participant who wears hijab had some form of challenging issue, while a small number of men reported they did not. In addition to this, to those who do not observe, used to observe, or sometimes did, they could select that they feel it is not necessary. I allowed them to expand on their responses as to why. And you can see in the responses, some people talked about their Muslim partners' preferences. For example, somebody said, "My wife dislikes having a beard. She is a born Muslim." The other one responded saying, "My husband, who is Muslim, said it is not necessary." So you can see here that people are affected by their family members and what their family members tell them. I also asked them about events that they found challenging. They could say, "No problem, there's no issues with any events." And there was a space for them to talk more if they wanted to. Just for categorization, events were split between Islamic, such as Eid and Ramadan, and then traditional Australian events that are sometimes outside of Islamic parameters, such as Christmas and Easter. It is evident that Ramadan, followed by Christmas, and then family gatherings are very difficult for converts. However, it is positive that 23.3% indicated that they encountered no challenges with Islamic events. Participants talked about things they found challenges, and these responses can be clustered into the following. Converts find it challenging socializing with friends and non Muslims, and work and business engagements. Within these comments, there was significant mention of alcohol. In addition, participants mentioned funerals and baptisms. There was a mention that Islamic practices aren't difficult, but being isolated from community and loneliness and feeling not belonging is what is challenging. Okay, so we are at the final part of my hypothesis, the social aspect. Now, this was about how converts integrate within a social space. To begin with, participants were asked about socialization in their family structure. As you can see, notably, participants' agreement how much their non-Muslim family accommodates in Islam decreases from family structure to gatherings to daily life. Furthermore, a significant amount of converts indicate that their family acknowledges their identity as Muslim, but just over half indicated that their families have no interest in Islam. They indicated that their family members maintain negative information. And if we remember from our demographic, the majority of our participants, unfortunately, they are well into their post conversion journey of more than 10 years, and they are still experiencing these challenges within their family. This provides evidence for us to understand that there is ongoing negotiation and compromise, and conversion to Islam may significantly affect family relationships. It is evidence that converts to Islam require flexibility and understanding when it comes to their non Muslim family. In addition to this, findings provide evidence that participants had close Muslim friends who helped them. And they also said in their first initial phase post-conversion, they found that there was many Muslims eager to help them. However, they did say that specific and relevant support from a mosque was much lower.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes. A little over
Yeah,
half of
yeah.
half of participants reported that they felt their community's cultural background played a role in how they were received, and an overwhelming majority of participants reported that they felt Muslim communities' interactions with the wider community, such as volunteering and interfaith dialogue, assisted in them being received and accepted. Here we can see in these results that the overwhelming majority of participants view themselves as both Australian and a meaningful part of the Muslim community. More than half of participants agreed that being Australian and being Muslim doesn't make them feel isolated from their community, but there is a small amount that do. It is evident from these results that converts engage with their social surrounding as Muslim with a conscious effort. The overall majority of converts said that they change their actions to positively represent Islam. The findings indicate that converts exist within various social spheres with different experiences, but the majority of participants agreeing that they are aware of how they are received socially varies according to people, such as if they are in the mosque compared to if they are home with their Muslim family. So finally, while over half reported experiencing isolation and loneliness as a result of conversion, this is evident through many experiences of many literature that isolation and loneliness does happen when you convert to Islam. The overwhelming majority believe that their conversion has made them a better person. You can see here at 68.8% and 29.7%. They believe that taking their Shahada and becoming Muslim and embracing Islam has made them a better person. Alhamdulillah. So, my last section, which I asked participants, was about Islamophobia. In this section, they could make multiple selections about the type of behavior and with who this behavior occurred. They were able to also select if they did not wish to specify. Participants were asked if they developed a mindset of safe and unsafe social spaces after converting to Islam, and the majority of them indicated that they did. They became aware of spaces and whether it was safe or not. As you can see from one example of results, participants indicated that they were subjected to verbal negative comments from family members, which was slightly lower than strangers, and families were the biggest offenders when it came to endorsement of stereotypes. Participants were able to expand on their experiences, which in some instances were completely opposite. Some comments presented complex issues that relate to families, such as the examples I've shared with you today. A participant detailed how she was cut off from her non Muslim family and her family refused to speak to her. While another, unfortunately, she experienced Islamophobic abuse from her Muslim husband. This is very concerning, and the results need to be shared with appropriate people and appropriate masjids and organizations because converts need support within the private sphere. They may be severely isolated and need to seek support. So, let's get to the conclusion after all of this talking. So, to conclude, the research uncovered what? Firstly, that there is a diverse demographic of Australian born converts. This is reflected in the ancestry, in the location, and in our religious backgrounds in the results. It provides evidence that people from all walks of life, mashallah, alhamdulillah, can and do embrace Islam. It also indicates that there may not be a one size fits all approach to categorizing and understanding converts' experiences. They are vast and everyone has different challenges as well. The results of the survey have provided beneficial insight to Australian converts' experiences that despite the challenges arising from the changes in their life, they can and they do successfully integrate into their Muslim community while remaining distinctly Australian. There are several factors that indicate successful integration of converts. Converts need to engage on all three dimensions of their hypothesis. They need to engage on internal aspects, their lifestyle, their social. It is evident that changes in these three places can bring about challenges, and certain challenges can be ongoing. In light of this hypothesis, however, it does not seem to hinder how they feel about their conversion journey and their integration to their respective Muslim communities as something very positive for them. Integration within a community, nonetheless, requires mutual engagement from both the convert and the Muslim community. Throughout the survey responses, it is evident that Muslim community members and Muslim friends offer really important support to converts through their friendship and care and mentoring. Overall, converts can feel accepted as a Muslim and see themselves as a meaningful part of the Muslim community while maintaining their Australian identity. So I will leave you now with any questions. And thank you all very, very much for your patience and listening.
Okay, what a wonderful sharing to broaden our knowledge, Miss Bone Martinat. Well, now everybody, we will open Q&A session. As I said before, those who want to ask directly can click the raise hands reaction symbol, or maybe you can write your questions in the chat column and I will read it. Actually, in this session, there will be not only for questioning and answering, but also for sharing. It is welcome for you to share your own experience as Muslims comparing to Australian, maybe. Then we can discuss together with Miss Martina. Is there any question or sharing from the participant? Okay, Bapak Nur Hamid.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Miss Rani. Hello, Miss Bonnet. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. Thank you for
Okay.
attending.
Yeah. So complete, yeah, your research. By the way, how long you take this research, this very complete research about Muslim comfort in Australia?
It took about 18 months.
18 months,
18 months with the literature review.
almost
And
2 years, yeah.
yeah, but when the survey went out, everything was done within 4 months. So it
Mm.
was really the ethics, you have to go to ethics and get approval from ethics, and this took a lot of time. But alhamdulillah, I think about 18 months. But
Oh,
the survey was available for 1 month.
for 1 month.
1 month, yep.
Okay. Around you or people only from your city or also from another city?
All cities, all of
All cities.
Australia, yes. Because a lot of research in Australia just looks at Sydney or Melbourne or Brisbane. So I said, no, no, I have to look at all of Australia and see where is all of the conference.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It's very, very surprising. Yeah, we are very proud of Muslim there, new Muslims, Australian convert.
Yeah. And I met so many people that didn't participate in the survey. Like some of them are 83 years old, 85 years old. They don't know how to use the computer to do the survey. But it was so nice to talk to them, and they said that converting to Islam was the best thing that they ever did in their life, and it was really nice.
Do you think my opinion is right or wrong? I have an opinion like this.
Yeah.
There are so many old people convert to Muslim because they already learn much about Islamic teachings. Yeah, seriously for long, long time.
Hmm.
That is my opinion. Is it right? So that is the difference maybe, Muslim in Indonesia and also Muslim in Australia. Muslim in Australia, maybe they convert to be Muslim because they have learned much about Islamic teaching. But I'm sorry to say that most Muslim in Indonesia become Muslim because their parents are Muslims. Is it, my opinion is right or wrong according to your survey to the old people that convert to be Muslims?
Uh, so I didn't ask them their experience as uh, with children and if they how I know what you mean with communities they are born Muslim and that's it. But you can see that people in my results that they take their time before converting to Islam. They really think about it. They don't suddenly just say, "Ah, I'm gonna do this." They take their time thinking. They take their time learning. But it was interesting to see that half started practicing like fasting and praying before taking Shahada, and the other half didn't. They didn't do any practices. But I think they must have thought about it a lot before they take their Shahada. Yeah.
Do they have any difficulty about relationship with their family, with their relation in office, something like that, when
Yeah.
they convert to be Muslim?
Yeah. So you can see in my results that they have to compromise with their family. Whether their family say you have to come and celebrate Christmas. You know, this is a festival that is Islam. It has Eid just. So they have to compromise with their family. Do we go to celebrate with them? How can I bring my family to celebrate Eid? And their family said, why do we celebrate Eid? We have Christmas. So yes,
Yeah.
they have to work really hard with their families, and it the results show that it's ongoing. There's really sometimes never a point that everything is okay. They have to keep going with their family for a long time, negotiating.
As far as your research, what do they do? What do they choose between celebrating Christmas or celebrating Eid? And then what do they do? Yeah. Because
Uh,
we know that it's their family, of course, they found it very difficult.
yeah, so I allowed participants to write response. So some of the response said, one response said, we still celebrate these occasions with my
Mm,
non-Muslim family. My
okay.
Muslim family are very accepting.
Mm,
So one person said, I still celebrate Christmas with my family and my Muslim family don't mind.
mm.
Another person said, however, Christmas is very difficult because of ham, drinking alcohol, and Santa.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
my parents disrespected my wish not to do Christmas. So
yeah.
you can see that some people, for them, it's okay, it's easy, and some people, it is a huge conflict. So it's not the same for every person.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they don't, they really stuck some time.
Okay. Is it right that Christmas is very identical with alcohol, as far as I
Aus-
know?
yeah, so
Uh,
Australian culture sometimes it's you can see the responses in 2020. My responses, alcohol is a huge
mm,
Australian identity, but I think now, if I did the survey now, it's more accepted not to drink alcohol. It's actually on the less than before. So I would really like to see the results now if it's still a challenge.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay,
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
very
you for
much,
your
Miss
question.
Connie.
Thank
Okay,
you,
you welcome.
Bapak Nur Hamid.
Okay, Pak
Okay,
Faisal, Pak Faisal.
Miss Bone Martina, there are two questions in the chat column. The first is from Bapak Ulfi. The questions is how severe is Islamophobia currently in Australia and how converts face this challenge?
I
That's
don't
the first question. Should I read the second or one by one?
As you like. As you like.
Question is the same with Mas Ulfi.
Ulfi.
Pak Faisal
And then the second
directly will
question
ask.
is from Bapak Faisal. You may ask directly to Miss Bonnie. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum, Miss Bonnie. Okay, this is my question. I think it's the same with Mas Ulfi dealing what is the most unique finding dealing with the experience of facing Islamophobia, because I listened some incident of that, how they how they treat this one. Okay.
Yeah. So, what I found in my results was very interesting because someone said that there is so many issues with Islamophobia. I can't tell you, I can't count how many times I experienced Islamophobia. And then another participant said, I only had one person say something to me in 16 years. So I think we should look at the area and the location that people are in to understand the patterns of Islamophobia, whether it is in certain cities or certain suburbs in those areas. I didn't ask, unfortunately, participants how they seek support after they experience Islamophobia.
Okay, thanks for the answer.
Thank you for your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
What was the first question? Sorry, Miss Rani, about the.
There's a question from Mr. Ulfi. I think that's almost the same with Pak Faisal. It is, how severe is Islamophobia currently in Australia and how converts face this challenge?
Yeah, so I'm not sure about the most recent documentation because some of my lecturers work on the Islamophobia report. Um, Again, I didn't ask my participants how do they deal with this, but you can see that it is sometimes quite severe because one participant, unfortunately, she talked about how her husband, he was Muslim. He didn't want to be Muslim anymore, and he gave her a very, very difficult time. Following that, another person said that, um, her family refused to talk to her and they were not Muslim. So people are very experiencing very, very difficult hardship within their home. Uh, as my duty of care, I place like phone numbers and websites for counseling and for services so that they are able to access them if they need to. But because my survey was anonymous, I cannot contact people to follow up and make sure they are okay. But I think with integration into Muslim community, they have a more support. They get to know people, and this really helps them. To have a Muslim friend really, really helps them. That was the overall outcome that I saw in my result. Everybody said I had a friend who really helped me. So that's also important and a good thing from the Muslim community that someone always supported them.
So,
Mm. Yes,
okay.
Safari.
Okay, I will ask you one question.
Yep.
So, from your research, what is the most reason the people in Australia convert to Islam?
Their reason?
Did you find any data about that? The reason why they
This is
convert to Islam?
this is
Strongest reason.
I didn't ask specifically why people converted to Islam because this is with Allah. If you turn your heart, you turn your heart. What can you do? But it is interesting that people said that they felt so happy and they felt so peaceful. And I think this is an indication that people they are searching for something, they are looking for something, they are experiencing not peace. And when they converted to Islam, they found a sense of self and a sense of peace and meaning to their life. So I think we can kind of take a little bit from this result and say that conversion has helped them in that way. It could be a reason that people don't discuss. So
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Hidayah.
No, thank
Hidayah.
you.
Hidayah. We call it hidayah.
Students, ayo para mahasiswa, ada yang tanya?
No one?
No one?
Or Miss Bonet, do you want to greet your friends, Miss Jasmine?
Oh, I think Miss Jasmine, she might have left.
Oh,
She may have left. She was very busy today, but she said, I'm
okay.
gonna come because I would love to attend.
Okay.
But any questions, it's okay. From the students, please feel free to ask.
I think there is no more question.
Thank you all so
Should
much.
we end this agenda?
As you like.
Bapak, how about that? Enough or
No one?
no one?
No
No
one.
So okay, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. I think this is the end of the agenda. I would like to say thank you so much for Miss Bone Martinat for sharing your experience, also the knowledge, and also my gratitude for all the participants for joining today's agenda. And I think that everybody has their own conclusion about conversion in Australia. So I think I don't need to conclude again. But we know for sure that Muslims in Australia face so many challenges, starting from personal aspect, lifestyle aspect, and also social aspect that maybe can cause Islamophobia. Well, next, to Mr. Supardi, is there some words or closing statement to Miss Bone Martino that has been with us for about 1 or 2 months?
Yeah.
Okay, time's yours.
So we are very we have we are very pleasure to have you during this 2 months, and we have learned English writing very much from you, and also today we have your research about convert to Islam in Australia. So we really appreciate your what is it, your coming to our campus, and then uh,
Thank you.
so much that we have learned from you for an English or on how to being a Muslim in Australia. So actually we have want to have a with you for longer and longer. If fall and you mind to accompany us more and more, it will be appreciated. So we say thank you very much for everything.
Thank you so much. My colleague has just sent me a message because actually she is traveling at the moment. She said that she would like to give her sincere thanks to you, Mr. Subhadi, and to everybody of the colleagues and the students for allowing her to attend at the short time that she could. So thank you so much from Miss Jasmine Smith. And I would also like to say thank you all so much for attending. Thank you for allowing me to be your guest speaker. It was an honor and my pleasure. And I hope to continue longer with you all, as long as you need, inshallah.
We hope that.
For sure. For sure.
Okay. Okay, everyone, we have the most important agenda after this. It is a photo session. So let the team take photo together. For everybody who still close your camera, please open it for a while. Give your best smile. Bapak Ulfi, are you ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Enough? Okay. So, last but not least, let's close this agenda by reciting Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillahirobbilalamin.
Thank you once again for everybody for joining today's agenda. Let me close. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you in the next
Waalaikumsalam
agenda.
warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam.
wabarakatuh.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.